Yo, what's going on? Shabbat Shalom to everybody. How you doing? Shabbat Shalom. Thank everybody for tuning in. Hope you're having a great and wonderful day. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. What's going on, family? Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Peace be to you as well. Sister Cunningham. Shabbat Shalom to Brother Tony Robinson, B.O.O.M, Jacksonville. And Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. What's going on? Shabbat Shalom, Minister Casey, B.O.O.M, Atlanta. Shabbat Shalom, what's going on, everybody? Peace to you as well, Brother Tommy, Sister Penny, my sister Marthel. Shabbat Shalom to everybody. What's going on? What's going on? Hope everybody's doing well on this Shabbat. It's early in the morning. It's 9:42, and so we're gonna get to it. We got to definitely have a awesome message on today. I want to talk to you about some things about being a light to the world, and so that's important in this awakening and understanding. Is very important to do that at this time. So let me see here. Let me shoot out some invitations and whatnot to some brothers and sisters. See if they grab this and get this. Let's see here. Sending out invitations through Facebook and whatnot. And I wish you had a way you can send this thing. Wish we had a way we can select all, but unfortunately, we don't have those options. So you have to do it individually. And I try not to be on that long with doing it. But we'll see here. Trying to see here. You know, everybody getting the notifications and stuff like that, so we give it a minute. All right. Just sent out a couple, just looking off into space, into the invite stratosphere, should I say. But Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in. I definitely want to talk to you guys on today. It's going to be a quick message. Big shout out to, congratulations to my brother, Kevin Waters, Kevin Waters, who is getting married on today. I'm blessed to be a part of his ceremony, to be used as a tool to be able to speak to the family regarding this awesome and great covenant. And it's been a blessing because I'm starting to do more Hebraic weddings. And so it's been a blessing as well. You know, it's always a blessing to see two people come together and be able to uphold the union and the covenant, the marriage that the Father has so deemed and so blessed. And so it's been awesome hanging out here. This is my first time up here between Virginia and North Carolina for the wedding. And so I look forward to my brother Morris Williams Jr. Takoya, Morris Williams Jr. Rebirth. He's going to be here this morning, as well as both of us will be a part of conducting this ceremony. And so just excited for that. But I want to talk to y'all about being a light to the world. I think that we tend to forget the purpose and the intent of the awakening in brothers and sisters coming into this understanding of our heritage and our culture. It's a blessing to be able to be in a day and age in which we live where you're able to identify culturally who you are. Okay. That's the first stage. The second stage is finding out what is your purpose in the awakening. Is your purpose to teach? Is it your purpose to have edify in some form or fashion? Is it your purpose to reach your family? Is it to reach friends? Is it to be called to the nations? You have to find your purpose. We all have our callings and lanes that all work for the glory of Yah and his kingdom. And we have to find that. And I think unfortunate that we haven't been able to hone in and focus on what our calling is without getting caught up in a lot of the other things. We allow distractions of things that's going on in the world. Regardless of whatever goes on in the world, these things are to be. These things have been spoken. These things were going to take place. So it shouldn't be something that we should focus more on. It's just that now when these things take place, where do you fit in? And ultimately, many of us want to wake up everybody. And the thing is that unfortunately, we're either going to be seed planters or you're going to be a waterer. And the thing is that whichever one you are, you should do it to the utmost of your being. If you're the one who's going to water something a seed that someone's already planted, then that is a great responsibility. That's a great responsibility to make sure that you have balance in that. It's a great responsibility in knowing how to cherish and nurture that. If you're going to be the seed planter, you have to understand that with seed planting, there comes getting your hands dirty. Shalom, my brother, Pastor Ryan Ellis, UFCC, what's going on? Shalom, brother, Faith Music, Boom Atlanta. If you're going to be the seed planter, you have to understand that it requires getting your hands dirty. Shout out to my brother, big brother Bishop Nolan McCant, Chicago. What's going on? Those who plant seeds require getting your hands dirty, meaning that, growing up, you understand working in the garden and how you have to, you got to get on your knees, you got to pull weeds, you have to dig things. A lot of times these things require you pulling things, keeping your hands on. Back in the day, my mother and grandmother, they didn't use gloves and things of that nature. They used their bare hands. You're out in the sun. So planting these seeds, being a sower or one who's going to sow is going to require you getting out in elements and getting and being in uncomfortable situations where most people who would actually work in the garden, most of them, when they don't want to deal with the heat, or most of them who do work in the garden, the heat does not affect them. But those who get out there and they work in the garden and things like that, they get their hands dirty. It's only so long before, if they aren't built for that, they're going to decide to leave and say, I'll wait till the sun go down. But those who plant seeds, they don't require the elements. It doesn't require the elements to be perfect conditions. So the thing is that we have to understand how it works and what we're called to. Shalom, Barbara Blackwell. How you doing, sis? It requires those two things and those two understandings in what you're called to be. Now, being a light to the world, both of those situations, whether you are the waterer or you're the planter, the light that is involved in that is going to be the blessing. The light is what's going to give the increase, okay, which requires still you trusting and depending, because it's the sun that gives increase, okay? And if we're going to be like him, there should be some form of increase in our life, okay? All right? There should be some form of increase. There should not be a decrease. What do I mean? Well, whether you're a planter or whether you're a waterer, there still should be some form of fruit that comes from what you're doing. If all you're doing is on Facebook all day, if all you're doing is talking about people and all this other things, and there's no increase to what you're doing, then why are you doing what you're doing? Why is that? There should be some form of increase, some form of fruit behind it. Because if you say that the sun backs you, back what you're saying, back what you're doing, it should be some form of increase, beloved. Period. Now, when we look in the scriptures here, I'm going to go into a very familiar chapter that all of us know and all of us have read. John chapter number 1. We're going to go into John chapter number 1. We're going to look at it. This is not going to be a long lesson, the conversation. But we're going to look at John chapter number 1 so we can get some understanding. Okay. And let's look at this. All right. So John chapter number 1, I love the way that John's agenda is to prove the position and the authority of Hamashiach, or Christ, or if you're a Hebrew that says Jesus, or if you're a Hebrew that says Yeshua or Yahweh, y'all know who we're talking about. We all understand what we're talking about here. Okay. I love his agenda because his agenda is to prove not only he is the light, he is the power that gives us power, or gives us the authority within the earth, because we acknowledge and honor his authority. But at the same time, he also lays forth his agenda in proving who he is. Okay, starting out in verse number 1, John chapter number 1, it says, in the beginning, time. So we don't have to worry about dealing with what year was that, what time. People say, well, the earth is only 6,000 years and all these other things. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Marshall Woolrich. We don't have to worry about that. We understand who is the inventor of time. We understand who is not governed by time, who's limited by time, but who controls time, space, and matter. In this, we're not dealing with matter. We're not dealing with space, but we're dealing with time in John chapter number 1. In the beginning, time, or before time was set forward. We know he existed before that. Time is for mankind. It's something that is given to us. He's not limited by it, but he's fully functional in it and outside of it. In the beginning was the Word. Now, I tell people all the time, I'm like, okay, if we're going to debate and argue over the name, I mean, let's just, because we can't come up with a name, we can't decide what name we want to call him. Some Hebrews say Jesus, some Hebrews say Yeshua, some Hebrews say Yahweh, Yahushua, all these different things. Okay, we're all talking about the same Messiah, but people get a little finicky and get a little territorial about the name. Let's end and solve the issue and just deal with calling him the Word. If we want to settle it, we can all agree that he's the Word. Okay, so when we look at this, we're looking at it and saying, in the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with Yah, or Yahuwah, or Yahweh, depending on if you're using the Paleo or if you're using the modern. So in the beginning was the walking Word, or in the beginning was him in his glory. Before he took on flesh, the Son is who we're talking about, not the Father. In the beginning was the Word, comma. That's very important. That comma is very important. And the Word was God. or Yah, which establishes John's agenda is to establish his authority. This is why he doesn't say in the beginning was Yeshua. This is why he doesn't say in the beginning was Jesus. This is why he doesn't say in the beginning was Yahushai. He says in the beginning was the Word, because he's speaking from his eternal state. The name in which he has that we call him in the earth is the name that we identify him as being in the earth. But John is trying to get you to understand is that we're going beyond arguing about alphabetical characters, and let's deal with who he is from his eternal state. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with, or on the word was with Yah. So he's with somebody. And all throughout the Gospels, we see him talking about, I hear from what my Father says, I see what my Father do. So we automatically understand that who he's with is the Father. And the Word was with God, Yah, Yahweh, Yahuwah. And the Word was God. So now we're arguing over the question is, people are asking, is Hamashiach God? Brother said no. How can we argue against that when it's clearly right there in John 1:1? Now the question is asking, is he the Father? Is he Yahweh? Is he Yahuwah? Is he Yah? The Father. Of course, he's our Father simply because he created us. The same one that was talking, the same one that John is trying to get us to understand who he is from his eternal state, is the very one who was speaking through the burning bush. It's the very one that had Moses hid in the cliff and said, you can't see me, but I will put my hands over your eyes and I'll let you see my backside. Why? Simply because Hamashiach says that no one has ever seen or heard or talked to the Father any time. He has a Father, but yet he is also our Father, mankind's Father. How do we know this? Verse number 2. The same was in the beginning with. He repeats himself. Because I'm theologically getting you to understand his position, his authority in the kingdom, but also who he also answers to. Simply the reason why Paul simply says that the head of God is Hamashiach, Yah, the head is Yah, Hamashiach, the man and the woman. In that order. This is the same thing that John is bringing out to get us to understand. In the beginning, but he was with his Father, who also is the authority, but he also holds authority as well when it comes to mankind. This is the reason why you have to go through him, and you can't get to his Father without going through him. No one can turn around and say they accept me and don't accept my son. I don't care if it's a woman or a man. No one will be able to say that they're going to accept me and reject my son. It's not going to work like that. No father would allow that. But look at what it says. How do we know that he has the authority? And why do we have to go through him? It says right here in verse number 3, all things, all, not some, not just the birds, not just the animals, not just the trees, not just man, but all things. Who he's talking about? He's talking about Hamashiach. He's not talking about the Father. He's not talking about Yahweh. He's talking about the Son, because that's his agenda, to prove the Son's authority in eternity. That's the point of John chapter 1. That's the agenda that he's trying to push. He says, all things were made by him. All things were made by him. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. And without him, nothing was made. Nothing was made without him. Not only did he create, but there's nothing that exists that he didn't have his hands in. So before he even gets into him walking and why he's doing what he's doing, he has to establish this. Because why? Because eventually there's going to be some people that come and question his authority. There are going to be some people who are going to, at during that time, was already questioning his authority. Not only were they questioning his authority, but also there would come a time where people who are later on in our generation would also question his authority. Why do I got to go through him? I only accept the Son is the Father is my only Savior. Nobody is the same. You're talking about the same guy. This is the thing that people don't understand. You're talking about the same guy. Oh, why? I don't have to go through him. God is my only Savior. Yah is my only Savior. No, there should be no other. Well, the same guy who was being talked about throughout the Old Testament, the same guy who they were talking to in the Old Testament, is the same guy that came in the flesh. That's the point that people missing. The prophets even speak about his coming, and they never gave a name. In fact, they gave many names. They didn't deal with just alphabetical. They said he shall be called Wonderful Counselor. He shall be called this Magnificent, and all these different things. Those are also titles. Those are titles that they say that is described as names. But this is only for the human mind. The Father doesn't need a name. That's why he said, I am that I am. He doesn't need a name. He just exists. He created the name for you, but not to limit him by that name. That's why Moses said, well, who should I say sent me? Moses didn't even know his name. Moses didn't know who he was. He said, all I know is this situation, my life is functioning in this capacity this way. I don't know who I don't know who his name is. I don't know anything. Why? Because the children of Israel had already forgotten who he was. They've forgotten not his name, but they've forgotten his authority. So all of a sudden now he comes Moses to deliver them out of Egypt. He said, listen, who should I say sent me? Because the children of Israel, they're going to ask me, or Pharaoh's going to ask me, who should I say sent me? He says, Ahaya, Asha, Ahaya. I am that I am. I am everything. Because there's nothing that is made that's not made without me. I am everything. Everything exists because of me. So I am all things. And all things has its breath and its life because of me. I am that I am. That's who you tell sent you. I am. He says right here in verse number 4, in him was life. I am that I am. In him was life. I am that I am. In him was life. And the life was the light of men. The only reason why you exist is because of him. He is the light and the life. No matter how your mother and your father got together, if he wasn't the one who was the life giver, you wouldn't even exist right now. There are plenty of people who try to have children and cannot. There are plenty of people who have children that are stillborn. He is the life, and he is the light of men. Nobody's getting no shine over him. So even if it seems as though you're prospering, it seems as though people are calling your name, even though it seems as though everybody recognizing you as some great person and some great teacher and all this stuff. If you're not careful, you'll all of a sudden start thinking that you are the life. You are the light of the party. And you have to make sure that you remain humble and make sure that the Father gets the glory. And you always point people back to him. Because many of us wouldn't even be where we're at right now. Many of us will still be on drugs. Many of us still be prostituting. Many of us still be doing all kind of stuff, selling drugs. Many of us should have had AIDS, all types of sexually transmitted diseases. Many of us should have been gunned down and killed. Many of us got gunned down and still alive because he's the life of man. Look at what it says. Verse number 5. And the light shineth in darkness, and the light shines in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. This is the thing that I want y'all to get y'all to understand. Get this deep down in your being. What is light shining with light? What is darkness shining with darkness? Light with light is absolutely nothing. Darkness with darkness is absolutely nothing. When was the last time have you ever been the light in a dark place and you change the environment? Because that's what light does. When light goes in darkness, it changes the environment and becomes the focus of attention. When was the last time? When was the last time you were I don't care all the information you got. I don't care how much you study. I don't care how many brews you hang around. When has it been the last time somebody changed because of your presence? When? When was the last time, beloved, that somebody changed because of your presence? When was the last time you've been a light to the darkness? Shabbat shalom, Sister Tabitha. When was the last time? Good morning, my brother Daniel. When was the last time? I want to ponder upon this. When has anybody changed around you? It's no excuse. If you have the truth, everybody's not running from you. Because everybody didn't run from Hamashiach. Everybody didn't run from the apostles. Everybody didn't run from Paul. Everybody didn't run from Barnabas. When was the last time? Have you been in a place and people changed? We can go throughout the scriptures and see where brothers was locked up in jail and they caused a revival in the jail. Didn't even walk out the jail. Closed the jail doors back. And the guard was so concerned about losing his life to the Romans that even the brothers say, we all are still here. None of us have left the jail. And because they didn't leave no man behind, worry about themselves, this is the problem. It's too much selfishness in the nation. Everybody worry about making their name great. The brothers was more concerned about the people in the jail. Not only that, but they cared about a centurion soldier who was working for their so-called enemy, to the point to where they knew if they had left that this brother would lose his life. But what ended up happening? The brothers closed the jail doors back and reported to the jailer that everybody is still here. Not only because they did not leave that jail, they were the light because they caused a revival. But not only that, the brother who was working for the so-called enemy ended up receiving salvation. When was the last time you were a light to darkness? Think about it. Some of you can't even reach your own mother, and you're trying to reach people on Facebook. You can't be a light to Facebook if you can't be a light to your own family. You have your priorities messed up, and you out here listening to a bunch of people that have their priorities messed up. They can't even be a witness to their own family. And you're listening to them, y'all having a pity party together instead of having a prayer party together. A pity party. Oh, my mama won't listen to me. Oh, my wife won't listen to me. My husband won't listen to nothing I'm saying. And y'all get together and y'all click up, and everybody clicked up. Everybody got an issue. Everybody mamas don't want to listen. Or your mama won't listen to you. That person's sister won't listen to them. That person's uncle won't listen to them. All of y'all are presenting the gospel wrong. And then you have a pity party together. And ain't nobody say, let's pray that we can, to give us wisdom on how to reach our family. But yet you out here running around trying to reach the world because it's convenient on Facebook. And you want to post memes. And every time a holiday roll around, you posted the same stuff about the holiday. These folks know about Easter is not being biblical. These people know about Christmas not being. When you gonna reach your mama? And don't give me this, a prophet not welcome in his home. Well, of course you can't be welcome if you ain't got no light. You can't wait. Nobody, nothing is going to welcome you if you just as dark as it. And the Father don't co-sign darkness. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. There was a man sent from Yah, whose name was John. Listen to this. I love John chapter 1. You know why? Because not only does it set the authority of who Hamashiach is, it sets the purpose of who he is, his authority of who he is. But not only that, it gives you a demonstration of another individual who has light and understands his assignment. Hamashiach's assignment is to be a light to the world. Then he turns around and says, let me give you another demonstration in case you want to say, oh, well, that's Hamashiach. You know, we have excuses. Oh, that's Hamashiach. He's the only one that can do that. He's the only one that was not perfect. He was the only one this, that. And that's true. That's all facts. But we don't use it in that manner. We use it in the manner of making excuses of why we shouldn't be living up to expectations. And then all of a sudden he says, let me give you another example for y'all excuse makers. The reason why y'all can't be a light. There was a man sent. Key word. Of course you can't be a light if you ain't sent. It's too many of y'all went and going. See, before you can be sent, you got to sit. John was born into the world. He sat, and then he was sent. We're following people because of the crowd. We're crowd chasing people who were not sent. We're crowd chasing people who are not sent because we're just as dark as they are, parading around like we got light and not discerning and recognizing where the light is coming from. This is why I said darkness can't comprehend it. Can't perceive it. Look at what it says. There was a man sent from Yah whose name was Yahakanan or John. The same, listen to this. He's using this term the same in comparative, in comparing him, his assignment and mission to the liking of Hamashiach. Not the same as or not equal to, but in comparison of being a light to darkness. Two different assignments pointing you to the same location. You can have two different assignments, but your mission should be the same. And that's being a light to point people to Hamashiach. Look at what it says. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light. He was a light bearer, meaning he had to have light in him to comprehend the light. This is why when the light shows up, he can say, "Behold, the Lamb." Why? It's because he has something in him to give him the revelation of who he's in contact with. All the space and the place, he understands his surroundings. He simply says on his wake up, he says, "Behold the Lamb of Yah, come to take away the sins of the world." The Lamb, the light who's coming into darkness, that darkness isn't going to be able to comprehend. Shabbat Shalom, Zuma. Listen to what it says. He says, the same came for a witness. We're just operating in, we're not being witnesses of Hamashiach. We're being witnesses of ourselves. Because you should be able to see no matter what it looks like and determine if it's the Most High. Not based off a program, not based off some blueprint that you think that a light bearer is supposed to look like. Because if you do that, you're going to be fooled every time. You have to recognize who is who by the Spirit and by the character of how they're moving. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Ron. We have been awakened to be a light. Not a distraction. How many people have changed since you've been in the truth? Can you be honest? How many people have changed since you've come in the truth? How many people have been able to say The Most High is with you. When was the last time teaching is not a sign that Yah is with you? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I know a lot of people are going to be mad at me about that. Because even Hasatan have people that can teach. So teaching isn't the identifying marker that the Yah is with you. Let's set that straight. Even he has ministers. Even Hasatan have ministers. So teaching is not the identifying marker that Yah is with you. Let's kill that. The crowd is not an identifying marker that Yah is with you. Let's kill that. Those are two things that just been killed that we love. Teachers and crowds. Those are two things in two areas that Israel loves. Those are two areas. And one of them, Hamashiach made sure that he didn't give you. That's why every time a crowd was building to try to make his name, he slipped away. You're like, wait, where did he go? That's why every time when he did something for somebody, he says, don't tell the crowd. My mission is not to be a crowd chaser. My mission is to do the will of him who sent me. And that's to bring light to darkness. That brings to be a liberator. Two areas that does not qualify you as being Yah with you. Teaching and crowds. That don't mean the Most High with you because you can teach and because you got a crowd. And the sooner we realize this, the sooner we'll get revelation. And the sooner we can be impactful in a dark world. Hamashiach posed the question, who do the crowd say that I am? He asked him a question. He said, I know y'all been seeing these crowds of people following me. See, the question is not, the focus of the first initial question isn't about the crowd. It's a setup to see had they been paying attention to who he was. To see if they got revelation of him being the light, the same revelation that John got. Behold the Lamb. I want to know, have you been matured to understand and recognize that it's not about the crowd? Because the Pharisees had crowds. The Pharisees had crowds too. He says, who does the crowd say that I am? I want to know, are you just rocking with me because of the crowd? I want to know, are you just rocking with me because of the crowd? That's what I want to know. And I want to see your response. So who did the crowd say that I am? Nobody had common sense to say, I don't care what the crowd think. Well, there was one after the question was asked, but the initial question should have been, I don't care about the crowd. I did not choose to walk away from everything because of the crowd. I chose to walk away from everything because of you. So if they recognized what they left, they would have responded properly. But that also comes with maturity. They weren't mature enough yet. That's why they still were disciples, continuous learners, Talmudim. They weren't mature enough to recognize. So he takes them on those trial periods where he's grooming them. That's a part of discipling. See, once you become a light, see, we want to disciple people into everything but being a light. We want to disciple them on history. When was the last, when did Hamashiach even talk to them about anything historically? Outside of talking to the Pharisees, who thought that they were lacking spirit. But when they brought up the history, then he would combat that with spirit. He didn't talk to them about the things that he didn't disciple them the way y'all disciple people. Then y'all turn around to people like me, brothers like me, say, oh, he ain't a real brew. He don't talk about history. No, we got to go deeper. We got to understand culture. You don't even understand who you are. You don't even understand your calling. You don't even know why you woke up. But you want to understand something deeper. We got to go deeper. Then you go around here, you buying books after books after books after books after books, and you still haven't even learned the book. You still haven't gotten the jewels and the revelation out of the book. But you want book after book. You want to go deeper after deeper. You an Israelite and don't even know what salvation is. These are the things that we have to get. This is why he took his disciples, he developed them. He said, okay, who did the crowd say that I am? Because here's the thing. We're going to kill that. I'm going to kill your thoughts, because when you leave here, it's going to be a lot of people following you. When I leave you, there's a lot of people going to follow you. But I need you to develop, mature in your spirit to recognize who's around you. Come on, man. Hallelujah. Y'all say what y'all want to say. This the Ruach talking up in here. When I leave you, it's going to be a crowd of people following you. This is why you have to understand who's around you, because everybody around you ain't in your corner. People around you just to kill you. And you need to develop spiritually. You need to get your light to shine so bright to where you should be able to recognize if you have a friend or a foe. And what I mean this is, friend, we use that term loosely. Everybody says, that's my friend, that's my friend. Do you understand that Hamashiach called the disciples his friends after they grew mature in their spirit? Then he was able to recognize, okay, y'all rocking with me. So y'all no longer become my disciples. No, y'all no longer become just some guys that I was taking. Now you become my friend. And I don't use friend loosely anymore. I stopped several years ago. Everybody ain't my friend. I don't call everybody my friend. You can call everybody brother, but everybody ain't friend. And we need to get back to stop using that term so loosely. Friend is an intimate thing. It says, I trust you. And I got to the point where everybody I ain't calling friend, because everybody ain't around me, because they understand the vision. Everybody around me because they accept the vision. Everybody around me because they're going to listen to what I say. But everybody around me, a lot of people around me for what they can try to get or how they can try to take me down. And I've come to realization is this. You need to recognize who's with you. Verse number 7. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light. He not only came to be a witness, but he also came to bear witness of the light. The same thing that the disciples should have been doing when he asked the question, who do men say that I am? You should be bearing witness of the light. You should be bearing witness of the light. That all men through him might believe. All men through him. Not through you, not through your teaching. Not through your memes on Facebook. But all men through him might believe. Not through heritage. Y'all trying to win. Y'all trying to make heritage the light? We've tried that. Let me explain what I'm saying for those who don't get it. We've tried that. What do I mean? What do you mean, Moray? We've tried that. Our forefathers knew who they were and they still failed. They still went into slavery. Now, we wake up in the day's time, embrace our heritage, and we use it as a tool of witnessing. We use it as a tool of being the light, and we don't point them to Hamashiach. The main focus of you trying to get somebody to accept who they is trying to use heritage and identity as a tool of witness. How many people do you know that have embraced this witness, embraced this culture, and yet they find themselves turning their back on the Most High? They still find themselves going to Kemet. They still find themselves, you be like, this brother fell off. How did this brother fall off? He was such a great teacher. How did this brother fall off? He had all the information. He was teaching and waking up everybody, and yet he falls off. How? And we dangle heritage in people's face like the carrot to the donkey. And they never reach their full potential and what the Father was trying to get to them. Even those who were in the diaspora of the northern kingdom before the southern kingdom went into captivity. When you see throughout the book of Acts, you see through Paul's letters, you have many of people who were Israelites in the diaspora. And yet when Apostle Paul and when other disciples met them, they didn't talk to them about say, hey, you know, you're an Israelite, don't you? You're an Israelite. You need to return back to the... No one should have to return back to the commandments just because they're an Israelite. No, you return back to the commandments because Yah is righteous. That's why you turn back to the commandments. Your forefather, Adam, who brought sin into the world before they were Israelites, received grace and the covering of his sin by the first sacrifice in the garden when he covered them with skin. You don't return back to keeping Yah's commandments simply because you're an Israelite. You do it because who he is. You honor and you reverence the Creator for who he is and what he's done, not because you're an Israelite. And therein lies the problem. I was keeping Torah while I was in the Christian church. No one had to tell me about Torah. I mean, no one had to tell me that I was an Israelite. You have people who are part of the Hebrew roots movement who don't even deal with identity. They don't even deal with heritage. And they keeping Torah better than some of y'all who claim to be Israelites. Those in the Hebrew roots movement do not even deal with identity or heritage. They keep Torah, feast days, dietary law, and all of those things that we talk about, and they don't even deal with heritage. Because they understand there's an obligation that we keep the commandments because of who he is and not because of who I am. When are we truly going to get serious about this? When are we truly going to get serious? When? When are we truly going to stop playing? I don't care if I ever talk about heritage again. That's not predicated upon me keeping the Torah. That's not predicated upon me accepting Hamashiach as my savior. As long as the gospel is being preached, everything else is the cake and the icing on top. The gospel should be the cake. Everything else is dressing and trimming. Colossians chapter number 1 and verse number 16 as we get into close. Colossians 1 and 16. For by him were all things created. Listen. Now here Paul is talking about the same thing that John is talking about. The exact same thing. The exact same thing. Why? Because the agenda is his authority and why you should live right. And why you should live right. Look at what it says. For by him were all things created that are in heaven. Listen, Colossians goes deeper, giving you a deeper explanation of what John was trying to get to you in case you don't get it. He even goes so far as to say in the heavens. He's talking about Hamashiach. I want y'all to listen to this. He's talking about who Hamashiach is and what was created in the heavens. Still goes back to Hamashiach. Listen what it says. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible. Whether they be thrones, I want y'all to check this out, or dominions, or principalities, or powers. Ain't nobody got no authority unless Hamashiach gives it. And the reason being is this, is because he agrees with his father and his father agrees with him. So whatever decisions being made by Hamashiach, he does nothing outside of his father's will. So if it's being done, His Father co-signs it. Whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or power, all things were created by him and for him. 18. And he is before all things. He before all things. Hamashiach. Before all things. The word was before all things. Earth, mankind, the angels, all that. He was before all of it. He was before all things. And by him, all things consist. That's why I say, in the Old Testament, you're talking about the same guy. The same guy that came in flesh and told the Pharisees, if you knew me, then you would understand who I am. If you knew me, you know that I speak on my Father. If you were understanding, getting revelation of what you was reading, then you would understand that I am he who is sent, that is in the flesh, that was talking to Moses, that was talking to Abraham, that was talking to Noah, that was talking to all the brothers after, that was talking to Joshua. As I was with Moses, so shall I be with you. That was the word. The same guy. The same exact one. Let's keep reading. Look what it says. You're on the wrong video, Sandra. You're on the wrong video. Okay? Verse number 18, verse number 17, look what it says. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. Verse number 18, look what it says. And he is the head of the body, the church or the assembly, or what many call the ecclesia, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead. Hold on, let me get these cats off here. Hold on. All right. I had to block some of these folks, man. All right, so let's roll. But look what it says. And he is the head of the body of the assembly. Verse number 18. Who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have preeminence, that in all things he may have the authority, because he is the authority of all. Verse number 19, for it pleased the Father. Listen to this. I want y'all to listen to this. I love how this is written, because not only does it talk about him, but it also talks about how the Father is also co-signs him. Okay. Let's look what it says. For it pleased the Father that in him should be the full, should all fullness dwell. Verse 20, and having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself. Why? Because he made all things. Excuse me. Listen to what it says. Mankind was made by him. Adam, Eve, mankind was made by him. So what he did reconciled all mankind, because he's trying to, because the point is reconciling everything that was spoken, because the promise was with Eve in the garden, that through her, the world will be reconciled. Mankind will be reconciled. Okay, let's keep reading. Look what it says. By him to reconcile all things unto himself, by him, I say, whether they be things in earth or things in heaven. Why? Because he created all things in the heavens and in the earth. So through him, all things in the heavens and the earth were reconciled. And all things have to bow to him, and all things have to come through him, because of what he did for mankind. So, beloved, I pray, my prayers always to you is to make sure that you mature, make sure you grow, understand why you've been blessed and why you've been given an opportunity. Why you've been given an opportunity, why you've been blessed, and why did he awaken you? Not for you to become arrogant, but for you to be a light. The very reason he chose Israel in the first place is to be a light. But Israel can't make the same mistakes the forefathers made by becoming conceited and arrogant, because he chose you to be a witness to mankind. And unfortunately, we're starting to repeat those things. But the blessing part about it is many are also starting to realize the error of it. And so, beloved, I just pray if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel as It's Majors on It's Majors 1 on YouTube. That's ITSMAJORS and the number 1. That way you can get notified whenever I upload things. You may want to share the message and a lot of the messages and information to family and friends if you would like to. Also, don't forget, next Saturday is the men's and women's conference in Atlanta, Georgia. The men will be in one location. The sisters will be in another location. The sisters, it's a $25 registration fee, which is nothing, a drop in the bucket for many of us. We spend $60, $70, and $100 going to events and stuff like that. So it's $25 because they rented the facility. And to help go towards that facility, definitely don't forget to register. If you need registration information about that, our key speakers is Mother Malaka as well as Lady Janessa Edge. Sila, you want to make sure that you register for that. It'll be hosted by Lady Emma, my wife. Get your registration going. It will be in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be awesome. Mother Malaka is a great speaker. Lady Janessa is definitely awesome as well. The brothers, we're going to have our conference at our meeting location where we have Shabbat service at 7581 Tara Boulevard, Jonesboro, Georgia. If you're a man and you want to get that information, you can also, both of you can email for more information about the men's and women's conference. You can email at B.O.O.M Church INT, that's B.O.O.M Church International, or B.O.O.M Church, I as in Indiana, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, B.O.O.M Church INT at gmail.com. You can email there. Also, in August 17th is the Hebrew Heritage Ball. Okay, if you love to dress up, if you love the fellowship, if you love to hang out, you don't have to be an Israelite only, but if you want to come and mingle, fellowship, just be able to get the vibe and the spirit, it's going to be a lot of brothers and sisters from the Hebrew community that are coming to the Hebrew Heritage Ball. You can also look that up on Eventbrite, or you can email us at boomchurchint at gmail, as well as you can inbox me personally for any of these things. But the Hebrew Heritage Ball is going down. All right, red carpet, nice place, wear your best. Anyways, I'm not talking about, wear nothing, just something that you just bought, Now, if you can afford to buy something glamorous and nice, this is a dress up opportunity. All right, where couples can come. You can be single as well. All right, it's not just for couples, but you can be single as well. All right, but we're going to have a live band. We're going to have DJ. We're going to have music. We're going to eat, have a great time. This Hebrew Heritage Ball is awesome, and it is open to Christians as well. So if you want to come and be a part of it, definitely don't forget to come to the Hebrew Heritage Ball. It's August 17th. But you can even inbox me on Facebook, or you can also Gmail, the B.O.O.M Church INT at Gmail for Sabbath service information as well as event information. All right. So I love all of y'all with the love of Hamashiach. I love all of y'all. I pray that you grow spiritually. I pray that you get an understanding. I pray that you cannot eat without eating from the word of Yah. For man should not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yah. I pray that you cannot drink without drinking from the living waters that flow from Hamashiach. Let the light that is within you shine bright outside of you. And remember to love one another so that the world may know that we serve the true and living Yah. Until next time, brothers and sisters, I love all of y'all with the love of Hamashiach. All right, shalom.